Welcome back. What is this, MMA calculator?
I think it did Attic MMA.
Oh, MMA Attic. Get in our attic.
Welcome back. We're here with a full card breakdown and betting opportunities for UFC Fight Night Vegas 93. We've got a lot of fights, some with great potential this week, so let's jump right into it. Our first fight of the night will be at featherweight with Shaylin Nerdebeki facing off against Milkizael Costa. At only 30 years old, Shaylin has an incredible 50 pro fights dating back to 2016. By the end of 2017, he had already surpassed most MMA careers with 30 fights. In 2021, he was picked up by the UFC, where he decided, unlike Kevin Holland, to take a balanced approach, only fighting twice a year. Costa will be coming into this fight 3 years younger at 27, with roughly half as many pro fights. He has a 1-2 record in the UFC. Shaylin also has 2 UFC losses, but his are end capping a 3-fight win streak in the promotion. Both of these men suffered a loss to Steve Garcia in their last fight. Shaylin in April of last year and Costa in December, both by TKO early in the second round. Next, we move to women's strawweight, Julia Pilastri versus Josephine Knutson. Pilastri is currently on a 4-fight win streak, coming off a submission victory on the Contender Series. She has not lost since her first Contender Series appearance in 2021 against Jasmine Jasdavicius. Knutson, with a 7-0 record, has less than half the fights of Pilastri and has seen a decision in all but one. She started her career in kickboxing, but that hasn't stopped her from shooting for the takedowns. The model is giving Pilastri a slight edge at -105 and expects her to end Knutson's undefeated record. We have placed a wager here and are hoping to see experience prevail in this fight. Our second featherweight fight of the night is between a potential prospect in Jekka Seregi and Weston Wilson. Wilson came into the UFC as a late notice replacement with a 16-7 record, having not won in a major promotion since 2017. He has since been finished in both of his outings. His opponent, Jekka, has outperformed him in every notable metric that we can find. The model believes this fight to be closer than the books have it, but we see no reason to believe that. Given their history, the safe bet here is that the fight isn't going the distance. At women's flyweight, we have Carly Judas versus Gabriela Fernandez. Starting off with Carly Judas, she had an absolute battle with Ernesta Caracate on Tuesday Night Contender Series. She ended up dropping the split decision, but Dana was so impressed he gave both fighters a contract. Judas is an exciting fighter with her 3 pro wins, all coming by KO TKO in the first round. Fernandez does have more experience coming into this fight, but she has dropped her only 2 fights in the UFC, both by unanimous decision. She has not yet lost by KO, so we'll see how her chin holds up. If she is able to survive early, she has to be ready for a war for all 3 rounds. The model does believe her to be the favorite in this fight, just not as big as on the books. In the bantamweight division, we have Garrett Armfield versus Brady Heistand. Armfield is coming off a win over Brad Katona earlier this year and has a 2-1 record in the UFC overall. He lost his first fight in the promotion by arm triangle to David Onama. Heistand is also 2-1 in the UFC and has shown his ability to wrestle during that time, although he has never finished a fight by submission. Heistand will be the slightly bigger guy coming into this fight and may have to depend on his wrestling to keep himself off of Armfield's highlight reel. Next up, we have Nate Maness versus Jimmy Flick. Both of these guys have gone 3-2 over their last 5 fights. Maness will be the bigger man as he has recently moved down from bantamweight and will have an extra 3 inches in height and 4 inches in reach. He would be best served using this to keep Flick at distance and avoid the ground game at all costs. Jimmy Flick is known for having excellent submissions, although he has been stopped by ground and pound on several occasions. The books have quite a wide line on this fight, and the model disagrees. We aren't extremely confident in this pick, but it only takes a small percentage of underdogs to be profitable. We are laying the bet on Jimmy Flick and looking for the arm triangle upset. Staying in the flyweight division, we have Tiger Ulanbekov versus Joshua Van. Ulanbekov has pulled out of 6 fights in the last 4 years. We all know what to expect from a Dagestani trained in combat sambo. He wants to shoot, grind, and look for submissions. Van holds a record of 10-1, with his one loss coming by rear naked choke in 2021. He'll likely need to employ the Dustin Poirier strategy and keep the fight in the middle of the octagon. We are seeing the model favor Van by a reasonable margin, but he will need to stay away from the cage and off of his back for much of the fight, or he is likely to lose a very boring decision to Tiger. Our first bout on the main card is also our first fight over 145 pounds. Adam Fugit takes on Josh Quinlan in what everyone seems to expect to be a closely contested fight. The book odds are a near pick'em, and the model is right in line with that. Both hold a 1-2 record in the UFC, but now that USADA is gone, Quinlan might get back to his winning ways. Either one of them is capable of finishing the fight anywhere it goes. This is one to look forward to. Getting right back to the lighter weight classes, we have Asu Almabayev versus Jose Johnson at flyweight. This will be Johnson's debut at flyweight after spending most of his career at bantamweight, with a few ventures into featherweight and even lightweight. With an 8-inch advantage in height and 6 inches in reach, we are looking for Jose to keep the fight on the feet at all costs. Almabayev has been a takedown machine in the UFC so far and finishes many of his fights by submission. The book odds are very wide, and rightly so in our opinion. We aren't sure what value the model is finding in Johnson, but we're trusting that there is something there. 1 unit for hopes and prayers. Moving up to bantamweight, we have Miles Johns versus Douglas Silva de Andrade. Douglas is getting old. He will be just a few days out from his 39th birthday at the time of this fight. His age has not stopped him from competing with the best in the world, though, and he has gone 3-1 since dropping back down to bantamweight. Miles Johns has won 4 out of his last 5 bouts, with one of those being overturned to a no contest. Many of their recent wins have been by decision, but both of these guys have the power to stop the fight at any time. With only 1 KO loss apiece, we should expect this fight to be a stand-up battle that goes the distance. The book odds have this fight very close, while we are seeing a little more separation in the model, with the slight edge going to Silva de Andrade. We are laying a wager there and looking forward to a good battle. Kuamba is looking to make a comeback here after losing his first fight in the UFC by split decision. This was his only career fight at lightweight and was taken on short notice. He will be facing Lucas Almeida, who hasn't won a fight since his UFC debut more than 2 years ago. Almeida is significantly older at 33, up against a 25-year-old Kuamba, and does have significantly more experience to show for it. Timmy is a favorite at the books, and our model agrees. We are getting good value on Kuamba at -210, so we placed a bet. The only other fight on the card exceeding 145 pounds is our co-main event between Ikram Aliskerov and Antonio Tricoli. Ikram holds a 15-1 record, with his only loss coming to Khamzat Chimaev before either of them were in the UFC. Ikram is capable of winning the fight anywhere, but rarely leaves it in the hands of the judges. This will be Tricoli's first fight in the UFC after pulling out of 2 previously scheduled bouts. He has not fought since 2021 and has no experience in major promotions. He did take this fight on short notice, but that doesn't change the feeling that he is being thrown to the wolves. The books have Aliskerov as a massive favorite, and we are quite surprised that our model is not more in line. Either way, there isn't enough value in this fight to place a wager. Finally, in the main event, we have Alex Perez versus Tatsuro Taira. Perez is coming off a big KO win over Mataus Nicolau, but he is still only 2-3 in his last 5. 2 out of those 3 losses are by submission. Perez and his opponents have a hard time making it to the fight, as he has 12 canceled fights since 2020. Taira is undefeated at 15-0. Most of his finishes are coming by submission, but he does mix in some KO, TKO victories, including his most recent win over Carlos Hernandez. This fight against Perez is a major step up in competition for Taira. He was scheduled to fight Tim Elliott last month, but that fight was canceled because Elliott pulled out. If late money comes in on Perez, then the opportunity for us to lay a wager on Taira opens up. Taking a look at the stats for this card, we made 6 bets for 7.1 units. We have a single wager on a favorite and 5 on underdogs. Our potential return is 20.66 units or 13.56 units of profit. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the fights this weekend and join us next week where we will cover all the results from UFC and PFL.